It's time. It's episode 52 of the ATM podcast. Martin Devlin from the platform. Mark Watson, international broadcaster of much renown. We've got lots to talk about. The All Blacks, are we panicking, Watto? Lisa Carrington, 20 gold medals, including 15 at the World Champs. Rubialis, and is he going to resign and go quietly? The Waza top four, legit, say it out loud. Liam Lawson.
Apologise to me!
Let's kick it off with the All Blacks, Mark. And Ian Foster says no need to panic. Justin Marshall on the program says, hey, look, it was a terrible loss, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that we can't get through that quarterfinal at the World Cup. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it, Martin? A lot of people are saying, look, the only one that really counts is that quarterfinal, but we were beaten up and we were beaten up badly. Not a good look 2 weeks out. Look, I've tried to be positive on this, but then you just got to go back with this track record with Ian Foster, and it's just so sort of hit and miss. I just don't believe this All Black team now is good enough to win this World Cup. I just don't think we're good enough. I just haven't seen enough consistency out of them. Again, I'll just ask the question, how does rest and rotation in Super Rugby, how did that help us on the weekend? That's just, these guys hadn't played for 4 weeks and it showed. My point being that we've just got to play more regularly. This was our number one team. Just again for people out there who still, I want the All Blacks to win this World Cup. I just quietly hope I'm wrong. But we've got a first five playing at fullback. We've got a fullback playing on the wing. We've got a winger playing at centre. We've got a fullback playing at second 5'8". We've got the best number 7 in the world playing at number 8, and it just doesn't add up for me. We just seem to have these lapses in concentration at times. We just don't seem to be able to bring that intensity. And where is still the evolution in this team? Where is the evolution under Ian Foster? Are we really playing any differently than what we were playing 5, 6, 7 years ago under Steve Hansen? I'm not sure we are. Look, that hurt on the weekend, these people, and it should hurt, and we've got to make sure that it does hurt, and then we continue not to be apathetic over the All Blacks losing. People are now saying, look, it's okay if we lose to France as well, as long as we win that quarterfinal, and there's some merit in that, but you still got to go in believing. How much psychological damage was genuinely done? This just wasn't a 5-point loss, Martin. This was an absolute massacre, Look, what I will say in their defence is that I struggle with the refereeing on the weekend. It's the first time I've ever seen a referee pick a team up for setting up defensively in terms of trying to shut down a maul from a line-out. I've never seen any referee be that pedantic on it in the past. Next, when we play France and we've got Jaco Piper, is that even going to be part of his repertoire? Probably not. And that's the thing that frustrates me. Every week we've got a referee who focuses on a different part of the game, has a different interpretation. It was interesting when you watch Fiji England Southern Hemisphere refereeing, that game just flowed a lot more, and from an entertainment spectacle was great to watch. And I guess that's the only thing that put a smile on my face, is that England were beaten by Fiji, because I just can't stand English rugby, and it was good to have the Fijians shove it up them. We saw it with Samoa in 91, and I'm sort of just quietly hoping that we do see one of those Pacific Island nations go on a bit of a run at this World Cup.
Yeah, I'm sitting here nodding my head and thinking, look, it is easy to just go way over the top and overreact about this. And of course, if we manage to win the quarterfinal and we find ourselves in the final, we've got a chance of winning the World Cup. No one's going to be talking about this loss. But I do agree with you that they're just worrying signs there. And also the All Blacks' inability, and we've seen this, over recent years, and we've seen it consistently since 2019, which is is my major fear, is that when things aren't going well, and teams have a blueprint and a recipe to beat us, and it's the same every time. It's start the game. It's go set piece to set piece. It's come at us right through the middle. It's stop us attacking, stop us playing. We don't have a plan B. We don't seem to have another game plan. We don't seem to be able to just put our foot, stop, break, right, okay, reset, go again. And we've got enough experience in that team to do that. And so, that to me would be my biggest concern. Obviously, the loss hurts, but it's just that inability to say, okay, this isn't working. We've got to do something else. And we seem because, and I don't know whether it's Super Rugby or not, Mark, but we just seem to have this mindset that, attack will always work. Look, in that first half, we were pinned back, mate. Okay, Kick the ball out by halfway. Attack their line out. Start from the halfway line again instead of no, we're going to attack from the 22 because we're the All Blacks and that's how we. No, that's not working. You can see it's not working. Yep. You're pinned back. Do something different. Change the. Yeah, that's my biggest concern of all the concerns.
Yeah, Martin, and that's what I go back to. Where is the evolution in our game? Where are the players on the field that can make the decisions? Is it because from the moment they leave school at 18, there's someone telling them when to train, there's someone carrying their bags, there's a defence coach, there's an attacking coach, there's a scrum coach? I just wonder how over-resourced things are now, and that the players themselves have lost any sort of natural intuition. And sometimes you need to play the percentages. Look, I did a show on the weekend with former All Black Steve Devine, and he still thinks perhaps we were holding some stuff back, particularly in the backs. I'm not convinced on it. But look, I go on about this every week, and I got a sports doctor on the program over the weekend talking about being overstimulated and the dangers of it. Another bad start. I'll keep coming back to it. I just want to see the haka gone. We just don't start great. All I see is a lot of energy, a lot of adrenaline, and I just wonder whether we are overstimulated and that therefore we just don't find that calmness. We just get another big adrenaline dump. And look, people might say I'm stupid, but when you're dealing with small percentages in sport, I'd love with at least the All Blacks with their resource to maybe even try and do a study on this. But that's not going to happen.
Oh no, it's not going to happen, mate. Look,
because it's part of the commercial side of it.
That's it. It's now part of the big show, and look, and it's sold. I don't care what anyone says to me or how much denial is going on. That is sold as part of the All Blacks brand, is what it is.
Yeah.
And look, and it is now a major part of everything about that team. And people go along as part of the entertainment spectacle. They want to see it. But look, I'm just with you. I just love to see some science. I mean, they science everything else around it, mate. They science to the point that, you're not allowed to play 5 games. You can't do that anymore. They science to the fact that, July 29th, we played our last game and these guys are now rusty. What the rust? Tell me how the hell you get as a professional athlete rusty. I mean, that to me is the most lazy, stupid excuse I've ever heard. That's like somebody saying to anyone that's listening to this program, right? You do a professional job, but next week you're not going to be doing it. The week after you're not going to be doing it. In 3 weeks' time, we expect you to turn up. Mate, you are expected to turn up every friggin' day at work and do your job, right?
Yeah.
So why aren't these guys?
But look, Martin, this is what I go back to too, and we've discussed this. Again, another really poor performance. This team just looked like there wasn't cohesion. All we've done is rest and rotated, as we've always said, 3 big games in 15 days. How can we win 3 big games when the number one All Black side has never ever played 3 consecutive games in 15 days?
No,
we don't know whether they're capable of it. We've had 4 years to practice it, and we've never taken it because it's always about rest. It's always about rotation. I just don't think we're good enough, Martin, and it's incredibly frustrating. To me, it's another 4 years wasted. As I said, I wouldn't be so hard on this All Black team if club rugby was healthy, if NPC were healthy, if Super Rugby was healthy, and none of it had been sacrificed in the name of the All Blacks. In fact, as much energy had been put into all of those competitions as the All Blacks, I wouldn't be so hot on it. But the fact that it is so top heavy, and if you're going to make it top heavy, if you're going to take all the resource, then you need to be winning, Martin.
Apologise to me!
Lisa Carrington, speaking about somebody who is winning, this is just ridiculous now, isn't it? And I say that, with just awe and wonder. 5 gold medals, and there's going to be more gold medals next year, we know that. But 15 World Championship golds as well, Mark. I mean, this is what you do. You commentate Olympic Games. You commentate these sports that really are out of our conscious for most part, except every 4 years. This woman's achievements must rate her amongst the very, very best of New Zealand athletes, surely, across every sport.
Oh, without a doubt. Look, I was lucky enough, it wasn't heard here, but I actually did all the kayaking commentary at the Tokyo Olympics. I'm sort of the official archive of the IOC, so I got to call all of Lisa's gold medals. And when you go there, you realise how big the sport is in Eastern Europe particularly. It's almost a national obsession in countries like Hungary. And here we've got a young girl that's basically come out of Ohope or Whakatane region and is doing a demolition. It is a brutal sport. I spend a lot of time with Gordon Walker, her coach, over the years, and Gordy's no fool. He understands what hard training is, having sort of won the coast to coast himself 3 times, and spent a lot of time training with some of our top Ironman athletes. And you listen to the work they do, the number of sessions they do a day. It sort of reminds me a lot of what elite swimmers do. It is a hard sport. And so, yes, without doubt, look, she's in the discussion with Peter Snell. She's in the discussion with Daniel Loader. And the only other woman I would put up there, and it's hard because you need to go and do your homework. The only other genuine female athlete I sort of would put up there would probably be Erin Baker.
Susan Devoy? What about Susan Devoy winning 8 British Opens and World Championship, 4 World Championships? My apologies. Like, there's certainly another one you can throw into that discussion. But look, it's hard when an athlete's competing in the here and the now for us to, genuinely put greatness around us. Sometimes you need to be out of the sport for 10 or 15 years and then your legacy is well and truly remembered. But yes, certainly up there, if not our greatest athlete, without doubt. I think, I certainly put it up there with, as I said, Loader and Snell, and probably surpasses both of them now with her achievements. It is a tough sport. It's a brutal sport. But the thing is that I find quite funny in this country, Martin, is she wins again and the Hellbergs will come up and go, oh, Lawson Carrington's going to win it again. God, can't we give it to somebody else? Yeah.
Do you honestly think the Swiss say that about Roger Federer? Do you think the Americans say that about Tiger Woods or Michael Phelps? Why can't we just go, hang on a minute, man? I tell people, go and sit in the K1 kayak and see if you can actually balance it for 1 second.
It's too damn hard. That's the thing, Watto, isn't it?
Well, Stephen Ferguson, who was an elite swimmer, right, son of Ian Ferguson, he was an elite swimmer. It took him 3 months to learn how to kayak in a K1, to actually sit in the damn thing without tipping out in it. I mean, you can see them at the start line, just how much their core is actually working to keep the boat upright. And what you don't realise too is just how nervous they get. I was talking to Gordon. He said, "Oh no, Lisa gets really, really nervous. I mean, and your arms are burning." He said, "It's like running the 400 metres as hard as you can go, and you're running through quicksand in that last 100 metres. You cross the line, and then someone says, 'Oh, by the way, you've still got another 200.'" And that's the pain and that's the hurt they're in, Martin.
Apologise to me!
Warriors top 4, say it out loud, it's legit, mate. And I think it's worth marking the moment too, because I know that there are games to come. There's a game this weekend, of course, against the Dolphins, and then the finals, and we don't know how far the team is going to progress through the finals. But when you've won 6 games last year and 8 the year before, when you've won 16 already this year and you've made the top 4, you need to put a little bit of a colon on that and say, well done, Warriors. This has been extraordinary.
Oh, absolutely. It's the fairy tale story, isn't it? It's what we've been waiting for a long time. For so long, we saw it with the Kiwis in 2008 winning that Rugby League World Cup. But, I look at the All Whites in 1982 going on the run. I look at the America's Cup. I look at, waking up and watching the Dixons and the Allison Rose winning the New York Marathon. And we've always just had these moments in our sporting history where we just get that sense of nationalism, where we do the unthinkable. And it's the Warriors this year doing that. And every game is a sellout now. Interesting that I see the Melbourne Storm have got Brisbane this week, because Melbourne could still sneak ahead of us. If we were to lose, they were to win. Melbourne could still sneak into 3rd place, but in a funny kind of way. Brisbane top of the table. I'd probably prefer to play Brisbane in a playoff game than I'd probably prefer to play Penrith. I think Brisbane, I think, are still more beatable. But look, I think we will end up finishing 3rd, which no one would have picked at the start of the season. I certainly didn't. I've said it before. They've exceeded my expectations, and good luck to them. But more importantly, I just well done to the fans who have been just so incredibly loyal. Well done to people like Peter Leach and the Mad Butcher who have defended this team through thick and thin. Those fans that have turned up every week, bitter to the loyal end, and sit in a landscape where it is still predominantly dominated by rugby, and have hung tough, and now they're sitting back smiling and shoving it up rugby, and it is the hottest ticket in town. The atmosphere is amazing. I haven't seen crowds singing. I haven't seen crowds. That's not who we are, but the Warriors are now making this team in the NRL look a lot more like the English Premier League in terms of the way the fans get themselves engaged.
Apologise to me!
2 more quick topics to go. Rubiales has got no legs to stand on at all now. I know his mum's locked herself in a church and she's praying. But, and I spoke about this with Miles earlier, mate. To me, it's just a simple equation, and it comes down to an attitude. And the guys failed the attitude test. You did something that was inappropriate. If you'd actually apologised and actually said, in the heat of the moment, but trying to lie about it and trying to claim that she actually consented to it and all of that kind of stuff, and then just the patriarchal attitude and the misogyny that's involved. We live in a different world these days, and I know there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's not that serious." Look, none of us can say that. It's serious to the woman who he kissed. If it's serious to her, it's serious. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I've watched it a few times, Martin, and I'll be honest, I didn't think there was much in it. That's my first impression. I thought he just did it on base, purely spontaneous, absolutely elated. She didn't seem overly concerned by it right at the time. In fact, she was still smiling afterwards. Now, look, clearly people take photographs, it becomes a media story, the left jump all over it, and then I wonder, because she becomes the media focus, she then jumps on the bandwagon here. Look, this is just the way I'm seeing it, and I wonder if it had been a woman presenting and the same thing had happened, how it would have been portrayed internationally. I wonder if it had been a woman presenting to a male, how it would have then been portrayed internationally, and whether it would have the same sort of pickup on it. There was the story of the coach on the sideline for Spain. They've got that snapshot and he's got his hand sort of almost cusp on a player's breast, but you watch it in full speed and there's nothing in it. But suddenly it's a major, major story. The fact that he lied about it, I think, is the greater issue for me. The fact that he said, oh, look, she consented to this like it was somehow preordained. But when you actually just look at it for what it is, like if I was standing next to you, Martin, and I ended up winning Lotto, mate, I'd probably turn around and just kiss you on the lips out of just pure damn excitement, mate. We've all done it. We've all had a mate sometimes give us a kiss on the cheek or something in a football game for whatever reason. And there is things called emotion. There is things called spontaneity. And I think it was very, very spontaneous, to be honest. I don't think there was anything. But
he's
you were
dug
just
a hole
done
for
in this
himself,
world,
though,
aren't you?
mate.
You are
Look, he's dug himself a hole
by media, Martin.
Yeah, he is, and I agree with all of that. But he also dug himself a hole by lying about it. I think, as I said at the beginning, if he had adopted the right attitude to start with, which was apologetic about it, and actually said those words, spontaneous, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything, but then we wouldn't probably be talking about it, okay?
But if the head of Spanish football had been a woman, it had been a woman kissing a woman, I just wonder what the story would have been.
A woman kissing a guy. If that was her kissing, Andreas Iniesta after he scored the goal in 2010, we wouldn't be talking about it. No, there wouldn't be talking. No, we know that.
Finally, this whole patriarchy thing, I'm sort of over that. This whole mentality that the only relationship ever between men and women has been one of dominance is just absolute and utter rubbish.
I agree with all of that. However, to me, he's almost painted himself into the corner he's now in, and he has no option. But look, they'll give him a nice fat settlement check. Don't worry about him; he'll be fine. Let's just finish on.
By the way, Martin, I've got a friend of mine who's sending me an image. I think it might be Gary Neville and one other Manchester United player kissing each other on the lips after something, which I'm going to send to you, Martin. I want you to put it up on social media. Manchester United, that is.
Yeah, he was kissing. He was kissing Paul Scholes. That's what he did after the ex-Scholes.
That's right.
He headed in against Man City late in 2010. I remember it. Let's finish on Liam Lawson and just say we had his dad on yesterday, Jared. It was just wonderful listening to a father talking with such pride and love in his heart, and that was the reason I got him on, because everyone else is in a much better position to talk motorsport and what it actually means and things. I just like the human side of this story about this young man who had a dream, who never gave up on it, just like Scott Dixon. He was told by a million people that it would never happen, he'd never drive an F1 car. Well, there the hell he is at the Dutch GP, sitting in a car. He's going to go to Monza this weekend, and for his parents, they've got 5 children, Mark. Just try and imagine how that must feel, getting up at 1:30 in the morning and watching your son live his dream in an F1 car. Overwhelming.
Yeah, look, unbelievable. I was just saying to someone this morning, when you look at Drive to Survive on Netflix and when they have the Laureus Sports Awards, it always tends to go to the Formula One drivers or the tennis players. This is one of the top 4 sports in the world in terms of a global following. Here is a kid from Pukekohe in South Auckland, one of just 20 people in a Formula One car, driving at the highest level in the sport. Pukekohe, folks. This is not London. This didn't come out of some big private school or some glamorous part of the world. A kid out of Pukekohe's gone on and done this. And you're just trying to put that in context. It is absolutely remarkable what he's done, as with Brendan Hartley when he managed to get a drive a few years ago as well. And isn't motorsport just in the greatest place it's ever been in New Zealand sport at the moment? We've got Van Gisbergen next year doing NASCAR. We've got McLaughlin and Dixon doing great things in Indy cars. We've got, as I said, Earl Bamber and Brendan Hartley winning Le Mans 24 every alternative year. And there are so many other drivers around the world in so many different categories. And it's just so fitting for the legacy of motorsport in this country. And now all eyes are starting to look at New Zealanders. But I think what separates the New Zealand drivers too is their carefree attitude. They don't bring the egos, but they're just engineers too. They just have such a intuitive understanding of a race car, and it's almost like they're one with it. And look, fingers crossed he gets, looking at, I think it'll be, a lot more than just Monza this weekend. It's a track that he's driven on too. And, he's got his opportunity now. And you do wonder what he could do long term, just given an opportunity somewhere like Red Bull, where, let's not kid ourselves, Matt. It doesn't matter how good an athlete you are, you still got to have a good car. But we should be incredibly proud of him. And I just wonder whether, I wonder whether our media truly understand the extent of this achievement. Sometimes there are just, people go, yeah, but he hasn't won anything. Yeah, I know, but there are just certain sports and certain things that just carry so much more weight than other sports. And sometimes it's not as simple as just saying, but he hasn't won anything. Look, I draw a comparison to Michael Campbell winning the US Golf Open. He's a Māori boy from Te Tahi Bay who learned his golf playing on greens where sheep would run across. And here he is, he goes on and wins the US Golf Open. You go to every country in the world, you fly into the airports, and there's always a big golf shop with big advertisements, and you think a Māori boy from Wellington won the US Open. And I put this Lawson story right up there with that.
Devlin. I'm as bad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. The Platform.